Breaking. ECL family ready to reconcile with President Hakainde. Mulenga Kapwepwe speaks. After months of silence and political tension, a surprising message has surfaced. One that could change everything between President Hakainde Hichilema and the family of the late former president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Mulenga Kapwepwe, the respected cultural leader and daughter of one of Zambia's founding fathers, has broken her silence, calling for reconciliation, healing, and the honoring of wishes that must be respected. But what exactly did she mean? And could this signal the start of peace talks between the Lungu family and President HH's government? Tonight, we unpack the full story. The words, the reactions, and the meaning behind Mulenga Kapwepwe's emotional appeal for unity. Good day, and welcome to InspirAfrica Official, your trusted platform for deep, balanced analysis of Africa's most defining political moments. Today's headline is stirring emotions across Zambia. The Lungu family may be ready to reconcile with President HH. This comes after Mulenga Kapwepwe's recent remarks urging respect for peace and for the wishes of those who came before. A statement many interpret as a call to end the quiet hostility that has defined Zambia's post-Lungu era. We'll explore what led to this turning point, how Zambians are reacting, and whether this could finally mark the beginning of a new political chapter for the nation. Could Zambia finally be witnessing the dawn of reconciliation between the Lungu family and President Hakainde Hichilema? In this breaking news documentary, InspirAfrica Official explores Mulenga Kapwepwe's emotional appeal for peace and respect, words that may hold the key to healing Zambia's deep political divisions. We break down her message, the political implications, and how both the Lungu family and State House insiders are responding behind the scenes. Stay tuned for a balanced and in-depth look at this developing story shaping Zambia's political. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash, and wherever you are watching from tonight, I hope your day has been peaceful, because the story we're about to unfold is anything but. For months, Zambia has been a nation caught between grief and politics, a country still wrestling with the legacy of one man, former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. His passing did not just mark the end of an era, it deepened old wounds, reignited bitter rivalries, and left a nation asking, can there ever truly be peace after such division? In the months that followed, the tension between the Lungu family and President Hakainde Hichilema's government seemed unbreakable. Court battles, accusations, and whispers of betrayal painted a portrait of two worlds locked in silent conflict. The air was thick with resentment, the kind that lingers in corridors of power and in the hearts of ordinary citizens alike. But this week, something unexpected broke the silence. Mulenga Kapwepwe, the daughter of Zambia's first vice president and one of the country's most revered cultural figures, has spoken publicly. And her words carry the weight of history, compassion, and quiet defiance. She spoke of healing. She spoke of reconciliation. And in doing so, she reopened a door many thought was sealed shut forever. Could this be the first genuine sign that the Lungu family, once defiant, embattled, and grieving, may finally be ready to reconcile with the man many viewed as their greatest political adversary? Is Zambia, at long last, ready to move beyond the shadows of its past? Or is this simply the calm before another political storm? Tonight, we uncover the truth behind the whispers, and ask what Mulenga Kapwepwe's powerful message really means for Zambia's future. The revelation came to light earlier this week during what was meant to be a simple public dialogue, a modest gathering in Lusaka, centered on culture, unity, and the role of the arts in healing a divided nation. But what began as an ordinary forum quickly turned into a moment of national reflection and political shock. Mulenga Kapwepwe, standing before an audience of scholars, artists, and civil society leaders, took the microphone, not as a politician, but as a daughter of Zambia's history. Her words, calm yet deliberate, cut through the silence that had long surrounded one of the nation's most sensitive subjects: the rift between the Lungu family and President Hakainde Hichilema's government. She spoke not of politics, but of pain, of wounds unhealed and a nation haunted by bitterness. With unmistakable conviction, she urged both families, and by extension, both political camps, to, quote, close the wound before it poisons the soul of the nation. To grasp the weight of that statement, we must go back to the months following former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's death, a period marked by confusion, legal disputes, and emotional turmoil. Disagreements over the repatriation of his body from South Africa ignited a storm of accusations. The Lungu family alleged humiliation and political interference, while State House officials insisted that every decision had been made according to law and respect. By early September 2025, the nation seemed to teeter on the edge of moral exhaustion. Citizens, weary of endless division, pleaded for calm, yet none came. And then, this week changed everything. Mulenga Kapwepwe's call for reconciliation, poetic and symbolic, landed like a breath of fresh air. For the first time in months, hope, fragile, uncertain, but unmistakably present, began to flicker once again. Here's what Mulenga Kapwepwe actually said, her voice steady, her tone deliberate, but her eyes heavy with the weight of Zambia's unfinished story. Mulenga Kapwepwe, I have seen too much pain carried in silence. We cannot keep fighting ghosts when the living need healing. President Hakainde Hichilema and the family of the late Edgar Lungu must meet, not as opponents, but as children of the same soil. It's not about politics anymore. It's about peace. Anchor. The room fell silent for a moment, the kind of silence that carries both shock and respect. Then came the questions. Reporters wanted clarity. Was this an act of personal conviction, or was Mulenga Kapwepwe speaking on behalf of others behind the scenes? Mulenga Kapwepwe. I have spoken to people close to the family, yes. And what I can say is that there's a readiness, I think, to open a conversation. But it must be handled with dignity. This is not about surrender. It's about, reconciliation. Anchor. Her words, halting but heartfelt, carried more power than any prepared statement. Within hours, snippets of the event spread across social media. News outlets replayed the clip repeatedly. But the real twist came later that evening. A source close to former First Lady Esther Lungu told reporters off-record that the family would not rule out dialogue. For the first time, the once defensive silence of the Lungu household seemed to soften. And then came a final statement, a phone interview with Daily Nation where Mulenga said, "It's time we stop living in political funerals. Zambia cannot breathe if its leaders keep mourning the past." Those three words, political funerals, resonated across Zambia like a quiet revolution. They became the week's most quoted phrase, symbolizing not just grief, but the desperate yearning for unity. So what does all this really mean? For many political observers, Mulenga Kapwepwe's statement was not just a sentimental appeal, it was a deliberate, strategic signal. In Zambia's tense political climate, words from someone of her stature rarely come without purpose. Some analysts believe her speech was a test balloon, floated carefully to measure how the public and political players might react to the idea of reconciliation before any official dialogue takes place. Political strategist Chilishi Mwansa told ZNBC News that, quote, "This could be a carefully crafted prelude to a symbolic handshake between the Lungu family and the president, perhaps around Independence Day. A gesture that would remind Zambia what unity once looked like." But as always, not everyone sees such gestures as purely noble. Critics warn that reconciliation, though emotionally appealing, could carry hidden political motives. As Zambia edges closer to the 2026 general elections, every move, every word, is interpreted through the lens of strategy. Inside the Patriotic Front, some loyalists fear that accepting reconciliation might dilute the emotional bond between the late Edgar Lungu's memory and his supporters. They worry it could weaken the PF's narrative of being victims of political persecution. Meanwhile, within the ruling UPND, the debate is equally complex. Should President Hakainde Hichilema embrace reconciliation as a moral gesture, a statesman's act of maturity, or would it risk being seen as a calculated political maneuver meant to win sympathy? Beyond politics, however, lies something deeper. Mulenga Kapwepwe, daughter of founding father Simon Mwansa Kapwepwe, carries the moral authority of history itself. Her call for unity echoes her father's post-independence vision of a Zambia defined not by rivalry, but by shared purpose. Could history be preparing to repeat itself, offering Zambia another chance to heal? Or will the ghosts of old divisions once again rise to ha? So tonight, Mulenga Kapwepwe's message echoes across Zambia. Soft yet powerful, poetic yet piercing. It reminds us that even the deepest national wounds can begin to heal, but only if pride steps aside and compassion takes its place. Her words, "Close the wound before it poisons the soul of the nation," have lingered far beyond the walls of that Lusaka hall. They've sparked conversations in markets, churches, and family homes. For the first time in months, ordinary Zambians are daring to imagine a future not defined by rivalry, but by reconciliation. But the question remains, will it happen? Will the Lungu family truly sit down with President Hakainde Hichilema, face to face, heart to heart, and begin the long, uncomfortable, yet necessary conversation about healing? Or will the politics of the past keep both sides frozen in silence, prisoners of old battles that serve no one anymore? If history has taught us anything, it's that reconciliation is never easy. It demands humility from leaders and forgiveness from those who've been hurt. It means stepping beyond slogans and headlines, into the human truth of loss, regret, and hope. Perhaps Mulenga Kapwepwe's message is not just for the powerful, but for all Zambians. Because the divisions that began at the top have seeped into the nation's very fabric. And if unity is to be rebuilt, it must start from the ground up, from ordinary people choosing empathy over anger, peace over politics. As Zambia watches and waits, one thing is certain, this story is far from over. Thank you for watching InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash, and I'll be back tomorrow with another unfolding mystery from the heart of Africa. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and good day.